Hi and welcome. I'm Jamie Davidoff of Spark Success, where our mission is to empower leaders and leaders of leaders to grow in confidence, influence, and impact so they and their teams can collaboratively create amazing results and positive impact. Today, I want to explore the topic of self-compassion. Last time we talked about empathy, and self-compassion is really empathy for ourselves. A lot of people have, different viewpoints on self-compassion. Many people believe that if they're self-compassionate, that they're not going to have the same drive, they're not going to get the results, they're going to get lazy, and there's all sorts of kind of negative beliefs around being self-compassionate. And I want to share with you a different perspective on it and some research behind it as well. So as many of you know, I'm a certified Dare to Lead facilitator, in addition to being a leadership development facilitator and executive and leadership coach. Dare to Lead is based on the work of Brené Brown, and she's done a lot of research around courage and what it takes to be a courageous and brave leader. One of the skills that's helpful for us in being a courageous leader is to be self-compassionate. When we're a brave leader, we're going to be taking risks and experimenting with new things. We're going to fall down sometimes. Sometimes we're going to be successful. Those times when we fall down, if we don't have self-compassion, it's going to be really difficult to get back up and keep going, or to do so in a way that's really positive and productive. So Brené Brown actually refers to Kristin Neff's research on self-compassion because Kristin Neff has spent a lot of her lifetime researching this. And I want to share with you a quote from Kristin Neff. So I'm just going to read that out here. So she says, many people believe that if they're self-compassionate, that they'll get lazy or not push themselves hard enough. And the opposite has been found to be true. So according to her research, self-compassion brings greater emotional resilience, which we really need, especially right now, more accurate self-concepts, more caring relationship behavior, and less reactive anger. So you can see how these things can be really helpful for us in our self-leadership, but also in leading other people. So let me give you an idea of what self-compassion means here. So Kristin Neff has a three-part way of looking at self-compassion, which I find very helpful for my clients, a lot of whom are leaders of leaders or HR leaders. So the first is called self-kindness. And that's as opposed to self-judgment. So self-kindness is talking to ourselves as if we were talking to a friend who came to us with a similar situation. So let's think about this. Say we've done something and we didn't feel great about it, we can start really judging ourselves about it. If we can think about if a friend to us came to us with a similar situation, how we would talk to them, it would be usually quite different. So let's look at that. So say I said something in a meeting and just kind of blurted it out and wasn't feeling like, say I was really kind of irritated and I blurted something out. I might then beat myself up over it afterwards and go, wow, why did I do that? I shouldn't have said that. I could have said that in a much better way. And so I'm berating myself. Whereas if I think about if a friend came to me after a meeting and said, man, I just didn't agree with what was being said and blurted this thing out, then I might, as the friend of that person, might go, well, really, what you had to say was valid. Do you think it came across that way? What impact do you think it had? And help me start thinking it through a little bit more logically and neutrally. The second part is common humanity versus staying in isolation. So common humanity is the idea that we're not alone in what's happening for us. Most of the time, other people have or are experiencing what we're going through right now. And really, it's what we're going through emotionally about what the situation was. And so if we can remember we're not alone in it, just like it can take that weight off our shoulders, or that, help release the pit in our stomach. over, you know, what we're feeling. Could be anger, whatever the emotion is that we're feeling. So when we can remember, wow, okay, other people have done this and it's not the end of the world, it can help us kind of move forward. And then the third part is mindfulness. And I'm going to explain what that is in a minute. But mindfulness versus getting stuck or over-identified in what we're feeling about this. Because if we get over-identified, it just keeps spinning around in our head. We keep feeling those feelings in our body that don't feel that great when we're stuck in that emotion. The mindfulness is really about identifying the emotion so that we can kind of go, okay, this is what I'm feeling. If we can identify what we're feeling, it's much easier to then process it and let it go. So I might go, wow, I'm really feeling like embarrassed or disappointed, whatever it is for ourselves. I mean, it really helps to understand what all those emotions are to be able to label them. Then I can go, okay, yeah, I'm disappointed in myself. You know, I felt like I knew better and that I would be able to articulate myself better in that situation. Then I can go, okay, that is what I'm feeling. That's what I wish had happened. Okay, now let's like just understanding that, just feel it, and then, but don't get over identified in it. Go, okay, that does suck. I do feel badly about that. It happened, and now what do I want to do about that? So that might seem okay. There's some 3 logical steps to go through there, and sometimes it's hard to do that on our own. So the other piece of self-compassion is to have people that we really trust and respect, that we can go to when we're experiencing this kind of hard to process emotion, so that they can give us a different perspective and help us be more self-compassionate, so we can move on in a productive, energized, and positive way, and not be still stuck with this emotion, which, you know, if we don't process it and we get into a similar situation in the future, we might just repeat the pattern. Whereas if we can process it, talk to a trusted partner about it, who's not overly identified themselves in it, who can be neutral and objective, we can process it and then strategize about how we would deal with that differently going forward, and how we can remind ourselves about that, maybe prepare for it ahead of time if we know a similar type of situation's coming up. So this is not a perfect process. This is a, you know, try it, learn from it, try from it, build on the success, learn from what didn't go as well, try it again in a new situation. And have those empathy partners. So Brene Brown talks about the importance of this, in that if we aren't working on our self-compassion, what often happens is we work those emotions out on other people around us, right? So within our relationships with, you know, people close to us, but also like with our team. You know, if we're feeling upset about something, how present are we being there for our team? How are we maybe processing it with them in inappropriate ways, unconsciously? There's just so many ways that not being self-compassionate can negatively impact our teams. And if we flip it around, if we can practice self-compassion, wow, like how beneficial is that for our team? We're also in a better position to help them process and be their empathy partners, so that they can process, you know, let it go and move on and be more productive and engaged. This is such a powerful tool. I heard recently somebody, an expert in the HR field, talk about the importance of soft skills and calling them power skills. And they really are. And they're actually often the most difficult skills to implement, because they take multiple iterations. So I'm going to encourage you to try this out, and again, do that iterative learning with it. Try it out, reflect on it, try it out, reflect on it, learn from it, you know, try it out based on your new learning, and just keep that learning process going. I'd love to chat with you about it as well, or hear your comments. There's comment sections below this video. I would love to hear from you. I'd love to chat with you as well if you're interested in a 30-minute complimentary conversation about this. I'm just very passionate about this. I love talking with people about it. And if I can assist them in some way, that really is fulfilling for me. Also, please check out our website, sparksuccess.com, talks about our executive and leadership coaching offerings, leadership development and training offerings, organizational culture, consulting, and more. My email is Jamie, Jamie, at sparksuccess, sparksuccess.com. Again, I'd love to hear from you. Thanks so much for listening in, and stay tuned for future videos. Bye for now.